What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDontWorkHereLady. Alright, this story's called Lady Calls Me a National Socialist German Workers' Party member because I'm a German tourist. This is my first story on the subreddit here. Also, English is my second language, so sorry for any vocabularers. The cast: Mein Vater, entitled Lady, Manager, yours truly. This story happened about 3 years ago. Me, my parents, and my dog were visiting the USA for 3 weeks during the summer holidays. We also visited some old friends who moved here. It was so good to see them again. Me and my dad went to Walmart one day to get some groceries. My mom and the doggo stayed at home because my mother was not feeling very well. First of all, damn America. The food here is amazing, but it has way more calories than here in Germany. Also, the portion sizes are so much bigger. I was shopping with my dad at Walmart to get something to eat for dinner. Keep in mind, my dad isn't very good at English, so I had to translate for him and speak to the shop assistants for the most part. We were in the candy aisle to look for some snacks, but for the most part, we were comparing what different candies America has. Both of us were speaking in German. My dad found a Twinkie package, if I remember correctly, and I explained to him what this is, what flavor, etc. When he put it into the shopping cart, I heard that typical Karen ahem sound. Not thinking much of it, I moved our shopping cart closer to the corner because I thought that it was blocking someone from passing. Nope, another, louder ahem sounded again, and I turned to my left. There she was, standing in her full glory. The Karen with every single Karen feature. Typical Karen haircut, huge sunglasses, and the "can I speak to the manager" outfit. She looked like she was about in her late 40s to early 50s. The lady was staring at me and my dad and seemed rather annoyed. Can I help you?
Took you long enough. Where are the paper towels?
Excuse me?
Are you deaf or something? I asked you where the paper towels are.
Sorry, ma'am. I don't know what you're talking about.
What the hell? How dare you speak to a customer like that? I'm gonna get the manager and tell him how rude you are. One last time. Where are the paper towels?
At this point, the Karen started to annoy me and my dad, but in all my confusion, I realized that she thought that I was an employee. The lady was looking very angry at me, and before I could correct her, my dad started to speak to me in German. In German?
What is up with her? Is everything alright?
Yeah. This lady just thinks I'm an employee. Don't worry about it. I'll handle it. Suddenly, the lady looked extremely terrified, like she just saw a ghost or something. She quickly changed her attitude back to typical Karen behavior.
Stop speaking Spanish! This instant! We are in America, so speak English! I will definitely tell your manager about this, you floozy!
Me and my dad were absolutely shocked. I really didn't know how to answer to that, but I tried to be respectful to her. Excuse me, ma'am, but you see, I don't work here. We are both German tourists. Please leave us alone. I grabbed our shopping cart and gestured to my dad to go to the next aisle and continue our shopping. As soon as we were almost around the corner, I made the mistake to look at the Karen again. She started screeching. She shouted,
"You two, stop immediately!"
and walks towards us, and she grabbed my arm. Her grip was so tight that it almost made me tear up. The entitled lady shouted in my face,
"Nationalist Socialist German Workers' Party member floozy, come with me. I'm gonna get your manager."
I was shocked and my dad was livid. He pushed her away from me and told her something along the lines of, in his broken English and with his heavy German accent,
"Get your hands off of my daughter, you stupid bench. Go away and never talk to us again."
The lady looked shocked at my dad, as if she never had anyone raise their voice at her. Her mouth was moving as she wanted to say something, but she quickly walked away after a bit. As soon as she disappeared, my dad comforted me and asked if I'm okay. I answered that I was fine, but needed to calm down a bit. Some minutes pass and we continue our shopping, hoping we never have to deal with that lady again. After about 10 minutes, we both hear that intimidating and annoying voice again.
"Those are the guys."
Me and my dad turn around and we see Lo and behold, our favorite nightmare Karen with manager in tow.
Those are the guys. You need to fire that girl. She was very rude to me and threatened to kill me, and that man assaulted and tried to violate me.
She had an evil grin on her face as she said that. The manager looked confused at me and responds, after a second, "Ma'am, I'm very sorry, but this girl does not work here."
What? But I saw her helping that man. She has to be an employee, and she threatened to kill me in a thinking camp.
Me and my dad looked in disbelief at each other, but I quickly tried to explain the situation to the manager. "Sir, this is not true. Me and my dad are German tourists and in no way National Socialist German People's Workers. And we were in the candy aisle when this lady approached us. She mistook me for an employee, and when I tried to correct her, she suddenly called me names and a National German Worker Socialist person. When she was physically assaulting me, my dad pushed her away from me and told her to go leave us alone. I still have a bruise on my arm. When I showed the manager my bruise, the lady tried to claim that I painted it on my arm. My dad tried to back me up and told the manager, again with broken English and a heavy accent, to look up the security footage. The lady's face turned pale and she still insists that I painted the bruise on my arm. Entitled lady stuttered,
They're lying. You have to believe me, not those National Social Germans. Very extroverted. They assaulted me and wanted to murder and violate me. Just don't watch the security footage because it's unnecessary and a waste of time."
Ma'am, I won't need to review the footage because I already witnessed it through the cameras.
To me,
I am so sorry for this inconvenience. Do you want me to press charges because this lady assaulted you?
I politely declined because me and my family were just there for a holiday in America to relax and see new places and not to visit courts. The lady got banned from the store and me and my dad got a little discount on our groceries. Some people are just nuts, man. When we got home, we had a story to tell to my mom and our dog, but in the end, we just laughed it over. I got an ice cream from my dad and some loving cuddles from my dog. Thank you so much for reading my first encounter with a Karen. This is my first story on this subreddit, so it will probably have some flaws, but oh well. This story's called "The Student Has Become the Master." It's the early 2000s, and I am a senior in high school. Oh, we're role-playing. I call the custodian from Everybody Hates Chris. My graduating class had 800 students in it, and the school itself was a massive campus broken up into around 6 buildings. The first day of my senior year, we spent the entire day in homeroom. You would only visit homeroom maybe 3 or 4 times a year at this school. It was just an easy way to break the student body up into manageable groups. If every student has to do a thing, line up by homeroom. If a teacher needs an arbitrary way to break up the class into groups, homeroom building letter. You want to check out a book? Name and homeroom. Want tickets to prom? School ID and homeroom. School needs to make everyone watch a presentation for 1 hour. Please go to homeroom. For all this senior talk, we actually sat in the room twice my senior year. And in the case of my room in particular, only once. So it is the first day of school, I have my schedule in hand, and am headed to my homeroom. Room A1003, so A building. In the basement, room 3, there it is. I sit down well before the bell and manage to snag the last of the 16 desks in this broom closet of a room. Shortly thereafter, we are standing room only, and by the time the first bell rings, we upgrade to 1 sardine tin worth of students. 36 students, 16 desks. We haven't even gotten to that class yet, but things are not adding up. My homeroom teacher stands in the doorway, takes one look at his sardine students, and says, "Nope, everyone out in the hallway." So we all march out of our clown car classroom. My teacher then takes us to room A1004, which is over twice the size and has plenty of desks. The teacher tells us, "Just write A004 on your schedules. If you are asked your homeroom number, say A1003. But if you are told to go to homeroom, come here instead." Fast forward 1 school year. It is the last day of school. Now, for obvious reasons, no sane teacher in this district would think to demand a class of seniors to do anything on the last day of high school other than watch the clock. We are sent to homeroom. Now, I just so happened to measure in at 6 feet 2 inches, and my hard-grown peach fuzz beard had matured into a wonderful dark brown. All those nights of standing in the mirror using sheer willpower to make it grow more had paid off. And the icing on this cake was the fact that I had elected... okay. So we had some family stuff to go to, and I would have to leave the school and drive to said family stuff directly. So I was dressed in my Sunday best. A full-sleeve collared button-down with slacks and my nice leather formal shoes. These three things became the trifecta for this series of events. The bell rings and... no teacher. Okay, maybe he is late. 10 minutes after bell, maybe he is really late. 15, 30? Oh, so there was nothing but chaos in this classroom. Everyone was doing whatever they wanted with no holds barred. I elected to doodle in my notebook like the cultured young adult I was pretending to be. That is when my pencil broke. So I get up and head over to the pencil sharpener and get to sharpening. I stop and admire my handiwork when there is a knock on the door. This kills half the noise in the room. I open the door to find an older, 5 foot, not an inch more, looking the 14 inches up to me. She hastily explains that her class is missing. Before I get a word in, she shows me a piece of paper. She is a substitute teacher, and she is subbing for our homeroom teacher. The class is down to hushed whispers as everyone is listening. I just look at this poor woman as she explains that all the children just haven't shown. Not a single one. Is this A building? That is A003, right? At this time, one of my more quick-thinking classmates raises her hand and says,
Mr. OP?
This clues me in and all the pieces click into place. I excuse myself and address the class, asking them to please keep it down and pull out their health books. Page 107. Without a single misstep, my comrades in arms all grab their books and turn to the page. Not one word is uttered for fear of breaking the voodoo that we were casting. My fate as the teacher of A1004 was sealed at that point. I give the substitute instructions to get to the main office and tell her to double check the assignment. She hurries off and I turn to my class. For a few terrible minutes, no one breathes. Then when we hear the sound of someone ascending the stairs of the basement, we all burst into laughter. Now begins phase 2, sealing the deal. A few students rush up and scribble health-related notes up in the whiteboard. I grab my health book, turn to the fateful page. Wouldn't you know it? Human growth and development. Nice. A watcher keeps an eye on the hallway. Sure enough, 20 or so minutes later, the sub returns, and she is not alone. One of the principals are along for the ride. They examined A1003. No kids. We panic. A principal was not part of the plan. The largest kid in the class jumps up. My time to shine, he says. He grabs his book and stands in front of the class. He all but obscures me from view. The door opens, and the principal sticks her head in the room. Big kid is halfway through describing the precise medical definition of a particular part of the male body, not the one you are probably thinking of, by the way. And without even a double take, the principal is gone. Victory. We spend the remaining 6 or so hours of class completely unsupervised. It was truly the best day of my high school career. Edit for clarification. The sub sat in the old homeroom and did not get sent home. She basically got paid to sit on her phone for the day. Cell phones in the early 2000s weren't that much fun, man. I'm sure Breakout and that snake game would be good fun for 15 minutes. Anyways, that must have been really cool. Impersonating a teacher to get out of doing anything and everything for a day. Holy crap, that's baller. This story's called, Today I Fudged Up by Accidentally Faking My Own Death. This one is hot off the press, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a long one. I'm up at our family's cabin in northern Michigan, waiting out the virus in a small town. My brother-in-law and I were ice fishing this afternoon as the stores are becoming empty and Mother Nature is very generous with fish in our lake. For those of you that don't know a lot about ice fishing, let me clarify something about a frozen lake. Right now, the ice is thick, with 2 C's by the way, 8 to 10 inch sheets. Throughout the day, the sheets will crack from the sun, then refreeze overnight. The cracks make a demonic noise that scares the hell out of you when you're sitting there in the silence. The cracks won't break all the ice underneath you unless you're trying to drive a bulldozer across the lake. With that said, I was FaceTiming my uncle to show off our buckets of fresh perch. My uncle doesn't know much about frozen lakes and is scared we'll fall in. While talking, I mentioned that we've been hearing cracks this afternoon. In the middle of our conversation, I turned my phone to my brother-in-law, and I guess that the motion, combined with my numb hands, caused my phone to slip out. I reactively screamed as my new device slid into the hole never to be seen again.
We've all been there, eh?
Jumping into action, my brother-in-law and I were trying to figure out ways to get it out, as we were only in about 10 feet of water. About 2 minutes later, I hear yelling from the shore. My sister is frantically trying to figure out how to get out to our tent on the ice. Confused at this point, my brother-in-law and I remember that we were FaceTiming my uncle when I dropped my phone. He called my brother-in-law, but we were too preoccupied to answer. We later learned that the combination of telling him about the cracks, the scream, and my phone going underwater and disconnecting caused him to believe we fell in. We came out of the tent, consoled my sister, and called my uncle, who must have lost 5 years off of his life from the whole situation. I am now sitting here on my laptop, trying to figure out ways to get a new phone before my state locks us down. But first, I had to tell Reddit.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.